Thank you. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And let's go ahead and Lynn, you want to do the roll call?
Bill Trepanier,
Present.
Mark Helwig,
Here.
Grant Gerber, Andy Alvarado, Mike Wohler, Tweed Schuman,
Here.
Doug Rotek, Bruce Paquette, Katie Bellinger, Stephanie Thomas Schmidt, John Yackel,
Here.
Monica Isham, Elaine Smith,
Here.
Marshall Savitsky,
Here.
Julia Lyons, Kathy McCoy.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. If you would join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the
republic
republic for which it
that
stands,
stands
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
with
and
and
justice
just
for
for
all.
all.
Thank you. And we do have compliance with open meetings.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Okay, and is there any reordering or anything in addition that needs to be added to the agenda? If not, I would have a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Judge Smith and a second by Mr. Schuman to approve the agenda as printed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public comments. Is there anybody here from the public who would like to address the committee on any issue or online? Okay, I guess not. So we'll be moving on. Minutes of the previous meeting.
I had one comment that under the bylaw review, I just recommended that that sentence be reworded a little bit. Want the sentence to be reworded under bylaw review. That was my recommendation.
Hey. Yes, I have a meeting until 1 o'clock.
What's that? Andy? Oh, Mark. Okay.
Okay, so the correction would read then, how would it read?
I couldn't find my marked up
I
sheet.
I have it.
Is there a first page? Okay. Ms. McCoy recommends that a change to the bylaws be made to consider the question of January 2023 voting privileges.
Okay, now back up for a second, since that will take just a little bit.
Let me say it again.
Yes, please.
Okay. Ms. McCoy recommends that a change to the bylaws be made to consider the question of January 2023 voting privileges.
Got it.
Okay,
And with that, then I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of 12/13/23 with the edit just presented.
is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay. Motion and a second to approve the minutes of last month's meeting with the change as per Judge Smith under bylaw review. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Bylaws review. Update, review only. I think as far as, I think it's clear now, I've spoken with Lynn and I've sent us some information. When we amended the bylaws back in January 11th, okay, we added the new judge that was going to come on board. And we also added Julia, a health and human service representative. Okay, so we became a 16-member board at that point. Of those 16 members, 14 are voting members. And that's how the motion was made and that's how the bylaws are. So Julia was added as a Health and Human Service representative without voting privileges. I, as the chairperson, as per the original bylaws, am not a voting member unless there is a tie. So I think it's clear where we're at with the bylaws, and I don't know if anybody has any problems with them the way they are or with the membership at this point. But I think, they are correct.
So I just have a question. The amended one says 16 members and shall have 15 voting members, not 14.
Shall consist of, it should be, that, see who's not on here?
Andy,
Andy wasn't on here.
oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you meant
Judge, sheriff,
here.
district, jail. Master,
I can't
two
hear.
was the, public defenders. First, two judge.
So I thought you had a question about which judge was going to have voting.
There's gonna be
privileges.
actually two judges though, because when they got amended back in January, the motion was by Mr. Schuman to approve the changes with the edits that ensuring that the tribal judge remain listed and forward to the county judge. Motion passed, okay, and then it was also a second to motion that the Second Circuit Court judge be added and listed in the bylaws as a voting member. Said this will also change the membership from 17 to 15 voting members.
So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 are listed
16.
and 15 will be voting members.
Lynn, is that what you have now listed?
I have 16 total, 2 of them non-voting.
Okay, so we have both judges, Sawyer County judges, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's 2. And then we have the sheriff,
Yes.
okay? And then we also have, county district attorney or his designee,
Yes.
right? And then we have the jail administrator or his designee,
Who is Mike Wohler, correct?
correct? Mhm. And then we have the Sawyer County administrator,
And Lee is here.
2 tribal representatives,
Bill Trepanier and Tweed.
yep. Public Defender's Office representative.
Is that Stephanie Thomas Schmidt?
Mhm, right. And then we have Wisconsin Department of Correction, which is Katie.
Mhm.
2 Sawyer County Board representatives.
Marshall and Mark.
And 2 residents of Sawyer County, which is Grant and me. And then Sawyer County Health and Human Service Representative Staff, which is Julia,
Julia.
and State of Wisconsin Public Defender's Office.
Now who's that?
Well, it was a long time ago, Ryan, and I don't know if we ever filled that position.
And what about, Madam Chair, what about the tribal judge?
I'm listed on there.
He's listed on there.
Already listed?
Mhm.
Okay.
So perhaps the problem is that we do not have a public defender's office representative still. I thought somebody was being appointed, though. I thought they did appoint
Isn't that, I
somebody.
thought that was Stephanie, who's Stephanie Thomas Schmidt represent? I thought she was from the replacement for Ryan Reed.
Stephanie Schmidt.
Oh, that's the airhead. This is listed twice. State Public Defender's Office Representative, State of Wisconsin Public, it's a typo here, so it
Yeah.
is.
So
Pointed
that
out,
has to
seen
be
Andy
fixed then.
corrected it on
So
these
then we are
amended
correct
ones.
on the
Okay,
minutes.
so there are 16 actually.
Yeah.
16 members, okay.
On the amended version.
On the one that should be correct, there would be 16 members, right? And 2 of them are non-voting, right?
Okay.
Okay.
So on the amended version, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
16, right, and 2 are non-voting, so.
Okay, so it says shall
That
have
should have been
15.
changed as per the minutes back when we.
So it should be 14 voting members.
Mm-hmm.
When,
Yeah.
If you look at that section A, the way it's written, it says that all positions listed below, unless the position is elected chair as described in Article 6, the members below are voting members of CJCC. So I should not be in that if that intent, and I am in that.
I'm just reading revisions were reviewed. The most obvious intent was to add a Health and Human Service representative with 16 board members and 14 voting members. And then the other motion was to add that the tribal judge would be a voting member and to add the second judge. So I don't know. It's really not clear, right? As to whether you are supposed to be on this list. I mean, well, I mean, you're on here. You should clearly be on the list.
Yeah, it's
Um,
just where it's
yeah.
at and how it's
worded.
stated. I think that's the
Below and
confusion.
So it probably needs to read all positions below unless the position is the elected chair or the Health and Human Service representative shall be permanent voting members, right? Okay. So do we have to bring that back for another amendment?
I think, yeah, if you wanted to add an exception.
Or do you want?
Or can we approve it with the
You
amendment?
have it on the
Agenda?
agenda that you could approve it.
Or we
Amendment
could
today.
just leave, well, if you want to be a voting member too. I mean, how does the committee feel about that? I mean, is it?
Yeah, that'd be pretty
I'm
tough.
sorry, I still can't hear you
I
down
was gonna
here.
say we could leave it so that we could amend it or leave it that the Health and Human Service representative is a voting member. To me, that would make more sense. For one thing, it'd make having a quorum easier for you because you've got somebody who's usually here.
So that makes no change then, correct? To
That
the
means
way
there
they
would be
read.
actually no change to the way it's written. There would be 16 members and
Then there would be,
15 would be, all would be voting except for the chairperson, right? Mhm.
yeah, then there would be 15.
Yep.
But how
So-
would you know that the non-voting member is the Sawyer County Health and Human
She
Services?
wouldn't though. We can amend it. We can leave it that she would be a voting member, actually. I'm not sure what the intent was originally, because it was a staff member but other people are staff members here too, so okay. Do we have
Well,
a motion?
yes, Madam Chairwoman, I'm ready to make a motion to approve the amended Sawyer County Criminal Justice Coordinating Council bylaws presented today.
And I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the bylaws as presented today, which means we will be 16 in number, 15 voting members, and 1 non-voting member.
Say again?
Amen. Tell me about it. Any further discussion on the motion? Anything else within the bylaws that anybody saw that we should address at this time?
I just have one question, excuse me. On your agenda, it says amend October 2022, but Andy's amended version that he sent out today is January 2023. And I think that the motion was proper as written or as stated, but maybe the date on the agenda should be January 2023,
Or to approve the bylaws as amended January
2023.
2023, yeah. Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Anything else then related to the bylaws? All right. If not, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Hopefully we will have this clarified going forward. Moving on, we have December jail report. Want to walk us through it, maybe?
This is the jail report that was presented at Public Safety as well. We have December inmate population was just over 67. And incarcerations, probation was just over 17. And pre-sentence is 32, and sentenced inmate is over 18. And we have 5 on electronic monitor and 1 working Huber. We are also looking at transitioning pretty much all of our Hubers over to electronic monitoring.
Does anyone have any questions of the sheriff related to the jail report?
I do, Chairman. Sheriff, do all inmates that are on electronic monitoring, are they required to have a job or be employed?
Yes, they will. Yep.
Okay, good.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions? Not, thank you. Moving on, then we'll look criminal justice coordinator update.
I'm Heather Lassard. I'm filling in for Becky today, so I'll go over the numbers and then Katie Ann will give the updates.
I'm sorry, could you repeat your name?
Heather Lassard.
Massard, thank you.
So current pretrial numbers, we have 136 active. 32 of those are on court reminders only. We have 12 active diversion cases with 18 pending diversion referrals. So far in 2024, we have 1 diversion case that completed, 0 terminations. We have 5 recovery court referrals that are active, and 3 of those are accepted or found suitable for recovery court. And then for bonds, we have 4 people from the old wait list that are incarcerated still, and 5 new bonds that are pending intakes. 4 of those are currently incarcerated. And then just the recovery court update, we were going to start today, but we pushed the start date back to January 24th because we didn't have any participants that were going to be sentenced in time to start today. So but we'll be starting on January 24th.
With the 3.
With hopefully 3, but should at least be able to get 2 sentenced.
Anybody have any questions or? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Katie Ann Dussel, also here supporting for Becky Berry. Just wanted to give the update. We have a intern / limited term employment employee that started with Justice Point yesterday. Ramona Norton is pursuing her bachelor's degree in human services at LCO OU. She's working with us on a part-time basis, and we're excited to have her. So thank you for transferring her over to us, Judge Isham. Contract outlines and guidelines for the peer support specialist positions as part of the law enforcement deflection program were sent to House of Hope and LCO Emergency Women's Shelter on December 28th, 2023. The House of Hope has accepted, and we will be moving forward with that. There's more information to come on that. We will also be hiring certified peer support specialists directly. Justice Point will be. Memo from Andy about the update on funding from DHS and getting started with law enforcement deflection program. He said that we do have the items to do the cross-tracking and submit reimbursement for expenses. So unless there has been any other communication from DHS, Andy did not see any reason to not move ahead and expend funds as identified in the grant agreement, with the understanding that this is a DHS grant, which has different tracking and reimbursement submissions than DOJ. So we'll want to make sure that we follow DHS's protocols on that. There is a jail blueprint rating class beginning on January 22nd. Northwood Technical College is offering a CNC blueprint reading course. I don't know what CNC means, so don't ask me that. Do we have like a suggestion of what it means? And if you have questions about it, you can contact Becky. She'll have more details on that. So this course will be delivered over 8 weeks and broken down into 3 micro-credentials. The topics to be covered are interpreting industrial prints, print reading foundations, and geometric dimensioning and tolerancing. The course will give students a basic knowledge of reading blueprints related to jobs in the manufacturing sector, specifically CNC shops. The course will be delivered online Mondays and Wednesdays from 12:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon. And our intern LTE Ramona will be assisting with the coordinating efforts of this program. The Reaching Rural Initiative, which was the initiative for crisis intervention that was discussed back in December, was submitted on December 15th, and no updates on that at this time. We're still waiting to hear whether we were approved. The professional visitor applications and packets were updated and will now be requiring all of the jail professional visitors to have a photo taken as part of their orientation. The photo will allow jail staff to identify and verify anyone entering the jail, which ensures safety for jail residents and jail staff. Currently, we have 5 individuals that are on electronic monitoring and 1 pending.
Anyone have any questions? The law enforcement deflection grant, so what's in the works with that in terms of training, or now that we know we can go ahead and do it and use the money, right?
We've had training with our deputies, our road staff, patrol staff, so I think we're getting in order and working with Justice Point there to continue to move forward and move forward into the next stages.
So I assume you feel your staff was pretty receptive to the training? I mean, I know change is hard.
Yeah, especially with cops.
I didn't say that now.
Yeah, it went pretty good. I mean, I think a lot of it is just becoming familiar, and sometimes it may not always be as it appears. And I think, there's always that concern as, a lot of law enforcement see it as, everybody should do the time for the crime, and alternative measures are kind of tough and concerning to some.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions related to that?
One question. This training was so that officers could better recognize when somebody was having a mental health crisis and how to approach that person. Was that included in this training?
In all honesty, I was gone and was unable to attend the training there, and I know the chief attended the training, so I'm going to refer some of that to him.
Basically, deflection is basically the deflection doesn't deal with mental health. It's, they come upon a new arrestee, they score this person by 3 questions, and that determines if they qualify for deflection. If they score outside of that, they proceed as normal. So they'll actually deflect cases instead of arresting them, bringing them to jail, which will go through the CJCC.
Okay, thank you.
And is there like a matrix or a goal in mind to reduce the number that are going to go into the system by 10%, 20%? I mean, is there any criteria that you're looking for, or is it just, I assume you're going to track it, right? I mean, it will be tracked that, you know, of these number of stops, these number were let go on deflection.
With the training, one of the primary presenters was the sheriff of Eau Claire County. And that's something Eau Claire County probably has that data and maybe shared some of that data, but we don't have that with us at this point. But that's something, if you want further information here in the upcoming meetings, we can support.
That would be great. I think it'd be good to know kind of what maybe can happen with this at least, or see what, I assume they've had quite good success with their stuff.
Yes, yes. I think the judge was with us on some training in Eau Claire years ago regarding this deflection or diversion as well. And they presented a lot of data and success stories.
Okay. And I assume both judges and the court is on board with this type of training, and I mean, it lessens what runs through the system in general, right?
Yeah, I think that would be one positive takeaway from it. Another is, as far as I understand it, is it's part of getting the post, the diversion, the deflection, having all of those things in place so that we can apply for other grants and other funding. They want to make sure that we're trying everything and that we're covering all of our bases, and then that puts us in a sort of a larger pool to have other funding sources available to us. So it's just putting another resource, giving another resource to the county.
All right. Anybody else have any questions related to this? All right. Thank you very much. Moving on, we'll look at Health and Human Service Report.
Okay. Did it call? Yep. As far as looking at the opioid funding and where we are with those pieces, we're really in transition now from the prevention work that was being done, looking more into the next level of hands-on. What can people do? How do we move forward? So hopefully by next month, we can have a full idea of like what that plan will be going forward. We already have the money set aside. We just want to make sure that we use them most appropriately going forward. As far as youth justice goes, it's been a busy year. There have been over 76 referrals coming in and some transitions within youth justice. I think I had mentioned this before, but Sarah Inzauskas, who was our lead caseworker, has now transitioned into the supervisor for children, youth, and families. And we did hire Kim Lambert, who has come in, and she was working with Hayward and has familiarity with working with these kids. So we'll be she's transitioned into a caseworker there. That's really going quite well for us. One of the things that we've been talking about is diversion also with that program. We don't have the staffing at this point or the grant funding, but that's something that we'll be looking at over this next year. One of the things we do know about youth is keeping them out of the justice system and getting the interventions before they reach that. You have better outcomes in the long run. So we definitely need to go down that route. The other thing that has been noted is we have a Yazzie tool, which is similar to some of the questionnaires that Justice Point would kind of use to figure out low, medium, high risk with individuals. And with Sawyer County, many of the youth that enter into our system are really at the moderate to high risk. We're not as level with other counties on that lower risk. So definitely have some interventions that need to be put in place there. Sarah and I were just talking last night about getting put together kind of a year-end review of the types of things that have been coming in, so we have an understanding of what is coming in through the youth justice, what types of things are being referred into the system. So that hopefully we can have that ready for next month, and I can invite Sarah to come and report on that.
Does anyone have any questions on the report? Thank you. It's good we're finally getting into the youth, some programming with youth again and getting people in those positions. Because I know with COVID and everything, that had really fell through the cracks. And
Yeah, and actually it was even pre-COVID when, we were actually talking about that at the HHS meeting last night about all the PEP funding and the different things that we had done, and we had youth trips and organizations and going different places, and we just, all that grant funding went away, and that was never pursued to look at another alternative. But we do know that youth are looking for safe places to go, and we need to reinstill that you can have get together and have fun without having alcohol or other substances involved as well. So looking at where we need to go with that, but definitely a big rebuilding time for us.
all right, thank you. Moving on, we have community service updates.
Yeah. So a gentleman in town has purchased the Burmeister property out on 63. And the plans are it is going to be used as a phase 3 for House of Hope. So the gentlemen that have completed the 6-month in-house can actually find an apartment. They will be responsible for rent and things like this. The plan, it's about, thankfully the Burmeister place is pretty open and easily to remodel. And the gentleman is a contractor, so it should go quick. They're planning 6 weeks to have it open, which actually 2 guys in the house should graduate in about 6 weeks. So it'd be perfect timing to go in, and the goal there is kind of do more of the things for life, build credit, have, your bills to pay, things like that kind of. And the jobs they get aren't always the greatest, and there's not that great of housing situations for them available. So it's going to be a nice, smooth, hopefully transition then into the next step. And that's about as far as we've gotten there.
So will there be a limit on how long people can stay in this phase 3, or?
Yeah, and a lot of that's still kind of all in the works. It literally just happened like in the past week. And we moved. Burmeister's out, and we're kind of going about it here, and we're talking and getting gentlemen in line that are, members of the community involved that can help these guys in some other ways. And kind of like you said, taking these gentlemen out into the community and showing them that you can go out in the community and it doesn't have to be at the bar or at this and that event and stuff like that.
Sounds good. Keep moving forward all the time.
Yeah, it's trying. It's the direction we all want to go.
Do we have any update on what's going on at the LCO shelters, or?
You want it, Bill?
Go ahead. You can take this one, Tweed.
Okay.
Well, we've just been in discussion recently about our men's and women's shelters, and thinking about how we can move in a different direction because the funding of those facilities is becoming more and more difficult. Our ARPA funds we've been using for the past 2 years to fund the women's shelter, which is, I think, 8 staff, and sometimes there's more staff than clients in that facility. So we're actually looking through DHS and our grants department on a way where we can go through a voucher system for these and create sober living facilities,
Right.
both for men and women. We have 3 facilities there now, and one, Oakwood Haven, is a domestic abuse shelter, which seems to be running grant funded and does a good job. But our men's and women's shelters need policy renewals, adjustments. So we're right in the middle of that, and I would hope that we can, maybe the next meeting or 2, we can come back with which direction we go and how that's going to help our people.
Yes.
But
Yeah, it's definitely in transition right now. So we're deep in the conversation.
But I know we're using much fewer hotel rooms for our homeless now, so that's really assisted us, and I think the sheriff is going to nod to that as well. So shelters are busy, but they need repurposing.
Okay. So are you trying to transition away from the actually shelter as a shelter and more into a more permanent type living space, I assume, or?
Sorry, if we turn it into a sober living facility, we can kind of move in that direction. So that's what we're looking at.
Sounds good. Does anybody else have any updates on any community services? Okay, moving on, future agenda items. I assume you'll give us an update on where the shelters or what's being done with those next month again? Okay. Anyone else have anything else that they would like to see as a future agenda item? Maybe we can get an update on how the drug court's going to be running. You'll have your first couple people.
Yeah, I'm at first, of course, it's just going to be phase one for the new people. And then I think that over time, as we're adding people in and it's going to have different phases with different people, I think it's going to add to the group dynamic, and it's going to, be the reason that we had to push it is because we only had one person accepted, and we didn't want to start with just one person, and that, there's no group dynamic there. And so now if we are going to have three, we're ready to get started. So we're all looking forward to it. We'll be able to put some reports together, see what we're going to be reporting on. But then once we have something, we'll for sure bring it to everybody.
Sounds good. Very exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Okay, anybody else, anything?
I think that Julie mentioned the data that was going to be on for next time.
Yep, I can give a 2023 recap of youth justice.
That's all I can think of. All right, so as far as next meeting date, if we stick with the second Wednesday, that would be February 14th. That work for everybody? It's Valentine's Day, I know. All right, so it'll be February 14th then at noon again, so. Okay, and with that, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for attending.